they need to understand that it's here, it's happening, and that on my show tonight, linking back into our Fatima film, there was another so-called sun miracle in Massachusetts a couple of weeks ago, which is recorded, and I pulled it down off of YouTube, and that's when the sun is pulsing like this. Mm-hmm. This happened 100 years ago at Fatima, and everybody made a big deal about it. And a lot of people know about Fatima, but we just created two films on Fatima, and one is called Fatima 1 is a harbinger of deception or miracle of the sun, and Fatima 2 is strange phenomenon. And those films are about a little over 2 hours of material, Fatima 1 and Fatima 2. And we flew to Portugal and spent 2 weeks there. And we did a lot of homework, a lot of interviews, and we talked to the powers that be. We were also publishing Jose Machado's book, Miracle of the Sun, where he had access to the Fatima archives. And in those archives, he was able to look at the original glass plates where the photographer Joshua Benolio, very old camera 100 years ago, using these glass plates and taking pictures, why the event is going on.
This is back in 1900 and what?
I'm sorry, what?
For people who don't know the date that this event took place.
It's October 13th, 1917.
Okay.
Is when all this is happening. And there are no planes in Portugal, essentially. People have never seen an airplane. And so the backstory is 70,000, 80,000 people are in a field because the month before, the three children, the seers, who had been receiving messages from this apparition, only they could see her, no one else could see her. And the magistrate and the mayor and the priest and everyone's going, go back and ask the lady, whoever she is, for a sign. So the kids do this. The kids go back in September, and she says, okay, next month there will be a sign. So this goes out. This apparition went from May 13th to October 13th, 1917. So it was 6 months consecutively, every day on the 13th, and the crowds began to swell. So by the time October 13th runs around, and this word gets out that, oh my gosh, there's going to be a sign on the 13th, the crowds swell, 70 to 80,000 people, and they're standing in the pouring rain waiting for the sign. Nothing happens. Finally, it stops raining, the clouds part, they see the sun. Nothing unusual about that. Then a cloud moves in front of the sun, and I'll do a little demonstration here. Here's the cloud moving in front of the sun, right, like this. And then from the cloud comes an object, a silver disc.
A little silver disc.
Yeah. And the people that were in the field, not all of them, but the people that were in the field claim to have seen eyewitness accounts. I looked up and saw a dull silver disc. You tell me what you're looking at. And we're only scratching the surface. I mean, obviously we don't have time to get into everything, but what the smoking gun for me was Jose Machado's work when he had access to the sanctuary at Fatima, and we published his book. And that photograph, in my opinion, is a smoking gun. It clearly shows a disc-like object hovering directly over the apparition site. Like if this is the apparition site, the thing's like this, right over it, right over the place where the apparition appeared. There's the disc, just sitting there. And you tell me what we're looking at. And when Jose was interviewed along with Fina Armada, Fina was the one that really blew all this open when she had access to the archives. And what she discovered was a completely different scenario, a completely different story than the one we've all heard. Completely different. And she published this along with her co-author, Joaquim Fernandez, in several books. And very scientific, incredible work. And I got to interview Fina's daughter, Frederica Claro de Armada. And she comes on in both film Fatima 1 and Fatima 2. So what happened there has been dressed up. It's become a managed agenda. It's been dressed up and presented this way, when in reality, when you go back to the 1917 handwritten records and you begin to view what was actually written there, they're two different stories, completely different stories. And that's what the film brings out.
Right. So there was no miracle of the sun. There was no Mother Mary. It was all deception by these, whoever was
Well,
in
we
the
don't.
UFO?
I never addressed Mary because when we were there, what we saw, Veronica. First of all, the sanctuary at Fatima is really dialed in. It's a sacred place to some people.
Yeah.
And so in Fatima 1, I say millions of people. This is my caveat. Millions of people visit Fatima every year. Millions of Muslims encircle the Kaaba stone every year. Millions of Hindus worship at Guru Puja. Millions of Buddhists worship at thousands of temples all over Asia. People have the right to believe what they want to believe. Mm-hmm. And we're not attacking anyone's belief system. We say that right in the first film, and then I reiterate it again at the end. We're not. If people want to believe it's Mary, they can believe whatever they want to believe.
But according to your records and the facts, it doesn't seem to line up.
It doesn't.
The gossip.
In my opinion, it was definitely not Mary of the Bible.
Okay.
It was not, in my opinion.
Okay.
I mean, I just come, right on the record. And when we state that,
Yeah.
that's why we call it a harbinger of deception.
Yeah.
And what we discovered in Fatima, and we get into this in Fatima too, there was ancient goddess worship all throughout this area for thousands of years before the Christian era.
Oh.
And that is still celebrated today. It's a whole different, it's very complex,
Right.
as we say.
Yeah.